All right, let's dive into something really powerful. We're talking about an ancient framework for personal growth, but we've re-engineered it with modern science. Think of it less like a single self-help app and more like a full-on upgrade for your life's operating system, the way you think, feel, and act.
So have you ever felt this way? You try all the life hacks, the morning routines, the productivity tips, but they just don't stick. It's super frustrating, right? You feel like you're putting in all this work, but deep down, nothing fundamentally changes. Well, here's an idea. What if the problem isn't the individual apps you're installing? What if the real issue is the operating system they're running on, your core mental framework? I mean, it makes sense, right? You just can't run the latest, most powerful software on a buggy, outdated OS. So, this is the upgrade path we're going to walk through. We've basically taken this incredible, ancient 8-step process and translated it for the 21st century. We're going to start by debugging our mindset. Then we'll calibrate our intentions, execute our actions, and finally put it all together to build real, lasting meaning. Okay, let's get into it. Stage 1, debugging your mindset. This is the absolute starting point, the foundation. We're talking about the core code of our mental OS. You could call it the very kernel of our awareness. So this ancient framework kicks off with two really fascinating ideas. First, you have Gewu, which basically means investigate your mental code. And right after that comes Zhizhi, which is all about install core logic. The whole point is you have to look inward first before you can ever hope to act effectively outward. Now, the modern psychology equivalent for that first step, Gewu, is a tool called metacognition. And it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the skill of thinking about your thinking. This is your system's built-in diagnostic tool. It's how you find those cognitive bugs and flawed assumptions that keep causing you to crash. Okay, so after you've run the diagnostics, it's time for that core logic update, the Zhizhi. And honestly, one of the most powerful versions of this is the Stoic dichotomy of control. It is such a simple but absolutely game-changing idea. You just learn to clearly differentiate between what you can control, your own judgments, your actions, and what you can't, like other people's opinions or external events. If you can truly internalize this one principle, it becomes this incredible foundation for emotional stability. All right, so with our core kernel debugged and that new logic installed, we can move on. Now we can focus on the central processor, the quality of our motivation. And that brings us right to stage 2, calibrating your intentions. The next two ancient commands are Chengyi and Zhengxin. You can think of this as 1, running on authentic motivation, and 2, managing emotional overheating. It's all about making sure your why is pure and your emotional state isn't running wild. And what's so cool is how this ancient idea of a sincere will maps perfectly to modern psychology. There's something called self-determination theory, and it shows that the best, most powerful kind of motivation isn't about brute force willpower. Nope. It's internal. It's fueled by our deep psychological needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. When a goal actually feels like it's yours, that's when you unlock some serious high-quality energy. And for managing those emotions, for rectifying the mind, we've got some amazing tools. Mindfulness, that's like your system's task manager. It lets you just observe your thoughts and feelings without letting them hijack the whole system. Then there's cognitive reappraisal. Think of it as a find and replace tool for your brain. You can actually reframe a negative situation to change its emotional impact. But, and this is so important, this is not toxic positivity. This is about skillfully engaging with all your emotions, not just slapping a fake smile on everything. Okay, so our internal hardware is calibrated, the code is debugged, the motivation is authentic. Now, let's look at how this whole system actually interacts with the world. Welcome to stage 3, execute your actions. This is basically the user interface of your daily life. The next two steps here are Xiushen and Qijia, and a good way to think about this is, first, you write your behavioral scripts. Those are your habits and routines. Then you establish your network protocols. That's how you connect and interact effectively with other people. This is where the rubber really meets the road. Xiushen, or cultivating yourself, is all about consciously designing positive habit loops. You've probably heard of this, the cue, the routine, and the reward. When you understand that structure, you can take your good intentions and turn them into automatic behaviors. You are literally writing new code for your life. But let's be real. Writing new code isn't always easy. It takes work. And that's where grit comes in. I love how researcher Angela Duckworth puts it.
Grit is passion and perseverance for really long-term goals. It's having stamina. Grit is basically the battery pack that powers you through this whole upgrade process, especially when things get tough.
Now, that second part, qi jia, originally meant something like harmonizing the family. But we can think about it much more broadly today. It applies to all of our relationships. It's about building healthy, interdependent connections. The work of Stephen Covey is fantastic here. Principles like think win-win and, my personal favorite, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So powerful. So, you've debugged your system, you've calibrated your motivation, you're executing your actions. The system's running smoothly. But what for? What's the ultimate point? Well, it's to connect to something bigger than yourself. And that brings us to the final and most important stage. Build your meaning.
The final two steps in this ancient system are pretty grand-sounding, Zhigo and Pingtiansha. Now, they might sound like they're about ruling a country, but for us, the modern take is all about impact. It's about scaling your positive influence, first in your community, and then connecting your life to a transcendent goal, something that goes way beyond your own self-interest.
And this idea connects so powerfully to the work of the psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. His theory, logotherapy, argues that our primary drive in life isn't pleasure, it's the search for meaning. He famously said that if you have a strong enough why, you can bear almost any how. And that right there is the ultimate purpose of this entire operating system. Okay, so let's pull all these pieces together. Let's take a look at the complete integrated operating system we've just walked through. Here it is. This chart lays out the whole system. You can see the journey, right? It all starts with investigating your own mind, moves to clarifying your intentions, then building the habits and relationships that reflect those intentions, and it all culminates in connecting to a wider, meaningful purpose. Every single ancient step, powerfully reinforced by modern psychology. It's an amazing synthesis. And this really brings us to what might be the most important takeaway of all. A meaningful life isn't some treasure you just find one day by chance. It's a structure. It's something you build, piece by piece, through a deliberate process that always starts with looking inward.
This whole framework, it gives you the architecture, it gives you the tools, and it gives you the logic to start building. So the only question left is for you. Your life is the ultimate program. What are you going to build with it?